I'm here going to draw a very slight border here because in this free session we are limited with the time. So because of the lack of time, we're not going to get into the details of the border. I'm just going to draw a small border here. I highly recommend that all of you use pencil. As you can notice, I move around the paper a lot because that helps me to have an appropriate measurement and also helps me in having a different views, different angles. Okay, so here I have a simple border here. I'm going to get started. I have divided this border into two halves roughly. You don't have to be exact measurement, this and here. And I'm also dividing the paper into vertical and horizontal. Again, in the middle would be great. If it is not, it is still okay. So this is how I have. So this is the layout of my drawing. For any Madhubani drawing, this is how I begin. So I have the x-axis, I have the y-axis. So to get started, the first thing that I do, I want the fish to be here in the middle here. So I'm going to turn this around a little bit, not exactly to the 90 degrees, but just a little bit. And I'm going to start my drawing. As you can notice, this has gone a little bit aside, but that is okay. You don't have to worry too much about it. But if you are very conscious about bringing this to the middle, you can just go ahead, mark this into an exact half. So here I have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So here I'm going to get a 2.5 and 2.75 somewhere over here. So I'm going to draw one more line. Okay, so I have two lines here. It's okay if we go ahead and erase the first one. Otherwise, you can continue using that line itself. Okay. These are the adjustments that you need to make. Okay. Now, having got this and this done deal with, I'm going to start with the fish. Now, I'm going to take, okay, let's do the measurements here. This is where I have divided this into so many parts. I'm going to leave just a little bit of space. I want to know from where I want to start the mouth of the fish. So I'm going to get the mouth of the fish started. And equal distance, say suppose here I have taken 1 inch. I'm also going to take a 1 inch here and I'm going to mark a dot. This gives me an idea from where I'm beginning the fish and from where I'm going to stop doing it, because I need some space on both the sides in order to have the fish set in the middle. Okay. Alright, so now what we are going to do, we have drawn these two lines and we have to get to this particular space. So I'm going to consider this as a point A. Okay. And I'm going to consider this as a point B. But before coming from point A to point B, I want to make sure that I divide this into half as well. So let's go ahead and measure this. 1, 2, 3 and a 3.5. So that is going to be 1 here and a 1.5. It's going to be 1.35 and this is going to be a 3.5. Roughly about half of this. Okay. I've divided this again into a half. Alright. So now I'm going to get started here and I'm going to come to this point. Instead of A to B, I'm going to come to this point and then this point and then over here. Alright. So let's get started. Let's go ahead and do a S. You know how we do a S? Alright. So this is a S, slightly like I have here. So this is your S, but in this case I'm going to make this portion big and coming down I'm going to make this small. Okay, This is how much I have done. Now I have to do the reflection of this. Reflection, either you can start from here or you can start from here. So what I'm going to do, whatever you are comfortable with, either I can go like this or I can start from here and I can do. But again, drawing a S is easy, but drawing to the other side is going to be a little difficult. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn over my page and I'm going to just follow this. Here, if I've stopped here, I'm going to start here. I'm going to go like this, you see. And here, I'm just marking approximately. You can go ahead and take the same measurement on both sides. Okay. Here the fish is going to be a little fat and then it is going to right here. Okay. So now we have got the body of the fish. So this is not complete yet, but this is pretty much the body of the fish. Now what I'm going to do, whatever I have stopped here, I'm going to extend it, or rather I'm going to coil it. So that's a simple C. Okay. And on the other side, it is not going to be a C. It's going to be the reverse of a C. Okay. Now I have to bring it back here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to start off smaller, but I'm going to make it big, and I'm going to bring it here. Okay. The same thing here on this side too. I'm going to. Now it's very simple. I'm just gonna go ahead and join it. See, when you start something, you don't have to come all the way to the next point. You can start off from the left to right or from the right to left, whatever is your comfort level. Now this portion of the fish is complete. Now let's go ahead and add some details into the fish. That is like the fins of the fish. Alright. So remember we had drawn two lines, one in the middle of the page and then another one slightly to the left. So I'm going to start over here, and even before starting this fin, I want to do a double line. Either I can do a double line inside the fish or a double line outside the fish. Now I'm going to go ahead and do the double line outside the fish in this case. Okay, I'm taking a black pen and I'm going to go over this fish. Just going to move this a little bit. It's okay if it is slightly wavy, but please maintain the consistency. Okay. The same thing on the other side of the fish. Okay, so far so good. Now I am going to do the tail part. Same, I have to do the double line here, right? And for this portion as well. I'm going to do the double line all over here. Those of you who are watching, it's great, but please complete the homework and submit. And those of you who are doing with me, please share your work at the end of the class. Okay. Now this much is complete. After the double line is complete, whatever you have drawn in the pencil, that also you have to go over and highlight it. You can do it at your leisure. Now this part of the fish, let's go ahead and add the details to it. Here I have divided this page into half and then a half within that. Now I'm going to take the midpoint here. Okay, the midpoint here. I'm going to take this midpoint here and I'm going to draw like this. The same thing, if you are not comfortable with that, you have to use your ruler and mark a dot. Okay, the same you have to do on this side as well. Okay, now you have to close this. This forms the first fin, the second one. As you can see, I do a lot of double line in Madhubani art, so I'm going to do the double line for this as well. Okay. There comes a point when you have to erase all the pencil marks, and we'll focus on that as well. Okay. Alright. Now comes the part where we have to fill in the details of the fish inside. Either you can go ahead and erase these lines, the grid lines that I call, or you can continue doing with the grid lines and later you can come back and erase them. Now where you have this line passing through the fish, just take half of it over here and then draw the eye. A small circle. You learn more about the shapes and the patterns and the borders in our detailed workshop. But for today is draw a small circle and then another circle on top of it. So there are two circles here. This forms the eye of the fish. Now for the mouth of the fish, you can do one of two ways. Either you can have an open mouth fish that you should have thought about before drawing this part of the mouth, and now this is a closed mouth fish. So I'm going to start off here and then do a small curve and then a little coiled curve. Okay. Now that this portion of the fish is complete, I'm going to turn the paper over a little bit. Now if you remember, we have this line and we have the fin starting over here. Now if you notice, this is going to be a straight line, but we do not want a straight line here. We want a curvy line, or like that of a boat. So I'm going to first mark this. I have 1, 2, 1 and a 2. Once I have marked these two dots and these two dots on the lower part of the fish, I'm just going to use my pencil and I'm going to make a curve. So consider this is a point A and a point B, and I'm going to make a slight curve. Okay, it shouldn't be a straight line, that's the whole point of it. Okay, I did one more. Now once you have completed the first one, you can draw as many of these curves as you like. It becomes easier. First you just have to replicate them. Now I am going to go over to this point where the fin is starting, but not the double line one, but the inside one. I am going to mark a dot. I am going to mark a dot on the other side as well, and I am going to draw the curve. Small curve it is. Okay. Now I am going to draw one more curve, but this is going to be a small one compared to the first one that we did. Okay, so once that is complete, I'm going to continue doing that, but here I'm going to be taking a bigger curve compared to all of them that we did before. Okay, so this is going to be a bigger curve and another curve. You might ask me how many curves should we do. depends on how much of decoration you want in your fish. You can continue doing the curve. Okay. Now I'm going to stop here and I'm going to start doing the double line here. I'm highlighting this and then I'm going to highlight this one as well. Okay. I'm going to start where these two lines are intersecting. You can draw these lines at one go, or you can stop or pause in between and you can continue. Okay. Now for this portion of the fish, I want to first complete highlighting this part of the fish. And then I'm going to continue doing the curves. Okay. I've left more gap here because I'll see different ways of filling up that gap. Okay. This is going to be simply slant lines. Okay. And I'm going to do one more here, again a double line, and I'm going to do triangles here, small triangles. Okay. So for this portion of the fish, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do C or a U. If you look from this side, it's going to be C. I'm going to continue this all the way till the end. And you can do more, but this time I'm going to do alternate portion of it. Just going to continue doing that till this part. As you can see, the curves, these waves follow the curves, so they are not going to be straight, they are going to be a little curved. Either you can do this in a different colored pen, or you can continue doing it in black and come back and do the coloring later point in time. The last one is going to be a bit of a challenge. It can turn out to be too small or it can turn out to be too big, but that's okay. Okay, so far so good. Now we are going to come back to this portion of the fish and we are going to do this. All that we did in pencil, we are going to do it in the highlighter or a black pen. Or if you choose to, you can color the fish and then come back and do the highlighting as well. Okay. This much is complete. Now do you think it's time to go ahead and remove the grid lines? No, not yet. First let's finish this portion of the fish as well. If you are interested in detailed workshop, there will be workshops for a 3-day session and it will cover shapes and borders, patterns and fishes, elephant, Madhubani girl, and all of this for a very minimal cost of 499 rupees. Here I am going to do a small curve and again a double line. The same thing I'll continue and do here as well. Either you can do as per the measurement or you can eyeball it. You can do it. Okay. But when it comes to doing the lines here, the lines have to follow the wave. If the wave is if the shape of the fin is like this, your lines inside also have to follow this. Okay, so I'm going to do like this, as if it is spreading its fins or spreading its wings kind of thing. The same here on the other side. Always come from top to bottom, because if you start off here, it will be a bit of a difficulty to complete it. This is going to be easier. You'll learn a lot of tips and tricks during the class. Either you can leave it like this, or you can go ahead and do more of decorations, add more shapes into the fish, or you can do different colors in here. So let's go ahead and remove the grid lines. Grid lines we are removing only inside the fish. Outside the fish we'll come back and we'll remove that. Once we have done the coloring, we'll always come back and remove that. As of now, I'm removing the grid lines, the pencil lines inside the fish only. Okay. Now this portion of it is complete. I have to do the highlighting for the tail as well. The class is going to be a Facebook live session, so there won't be any particular date of the workshop. You just have to register for the workshop and you will get the recordings, and so you can practice at your leisure whenever you have some leisure time. Depending on your convenience, you can practice the artwork. So what we are doing today is a very simple part of the Madhubani art. So when you enroll in classes, you will get to learn more. Okay, so I have completed this as well. Let's go ahead and erase all these lines and dots. See, these lines and dots help us do the drawing in a much more neat manner. The more precise you are, the more good looking your art is going to be. Of course, you are also doing the artwork you are enjoying. That's an added bonus. Okay. Now this part of the Madhubani fish is complete. Now let's go ahead and do some decorations here. I am planning on leaving these lines or these curves white itself, and rest of the portions I'm going to color them. So the portions that I'm going to color them are the ones for which I'm going to do these shapes. Here again the basic shapes, I'm using triangle and I'm going to continue. Okay, for this particular portion I'm going to just do small circles. Okay, and for this portion I'm just going to do like this. I'm starting in one corner, I'm doing 2 lines. I'm going to do the same here and I'm going to go all the way here. So just going to continue doing that. See how easy it is. I'm starting off here, point A, point B, and I'm going to do the same thing double, and then I'm going to come to this corner and do a double. I'm going to come to this corner, do a double. I see these two coming out. I have to close them like this. So wherever there is that opportunity where you have two of the curves coming out, I'm just going to draw a small half circle, and I'm going to continue doing this pattern. This pattern is very widely used in mandalas and Madhubani paintings. It's very easy, but it's going to look very elegant. Okay, just continue and try to do as many as you can and fill up this whole portion of the fish. Wherever you are not able to do double, you can just leave single. Depends on where exactly you are in this space. See here, for example, I don't have space for two. I'm going to start one and I'm going to stop right there. Okay. Either you can go left to right or top to bottom, doesn't matter as long as you're getting the curves right. You can continue like that. There'll be one meeting point where you meet this part of the pattern. Just going to close it. This is very therapeutic. This is art and also therapy. It's very relaxing to do this. Okay. So for this portion there will be different colors that you can use and fill it up. This is also where you can use a different color. And for the tail, you can go ahead and use a different color here, or you can do one more line, use a border color and then fill it up. I'm just going to do more here. To do small C's. Okay. You can continue doing like this.